One thing that I'm glad to say that I've been a part of is because I've been doing YouTube since 2014, like seriously. Um I've been around for a lot of the changes that have gone on the YouTube platform. And it's like I've been watching YouTube since like 2008. Um as honestly as far back as I can really remember, I've been watching. I've been more of a YouTube kid than anything. Um, so yeah, I would say probably around 2008 is when I really was starting to watch it a lot. Um, so when I started YouTube, that was when they were still doing Google Plus. Um, so in order to the bad thing about that was when they moved YouTube channels tied to the Google Plus page, we lost a lot of early YouTube content because if you guys don't know, if you did not get your YouTube channel connected to Google Plus within a certain date, YouTube just deleted your channel. So there were a lot of people that uploaded from 2006 to 2013, 14 ish, somewhere around there. Whenever they made it mandatory, I want to say it was when I started, is when they were really making it mandatory. So if you didn't get your YouTube channel connected to a Google Plus account, your videos and everything got deleted. Your whole channel got deleted. So we had people's whole channels that got deleted. We had videos that got deleted. We had response videos that got deleted. Does anybody remember that? The fact that like there used to be videos that were like colon and then the video title because you can make like response videos to people. That was awesome. YouTube should like bring that feature back. And not just the remixes. I'm talking about real like I can respond to this video and it has like a direct link to the other video. They need to bring that back. But yeah, so we lost a ton of content from early YouTube because of the Google Plus thing. And Google Plus was, so YouTube has this thing now where they have the community tab, they have the new comments section, they have the communities that they're rolling out on mobile. Like a channel can have its own community where like the community tab becomes a place where rather than just the creators post, people that are in the community for the channel can also post within there. So YouTube is becoming more like a social media platform on its own with shorts, everything like that. But they had a failed attempt at that with Google Plus early on. Google Plus was awful. You had to respond to comments through Google Plus. It was terrible. It was so terrible. We lost a lot of comments on older videos too because of some people's Google Plus accounts got deleted. So it was awful. I say all that to say, well, I say all that because I'm a yapper, but I say all that to say that I've been here for a long time, and back then, a lot of what YouTube was metadata. So your titles had to fit a certain, like, you wanted certain keywords in your title, and you wanted it phrased a certain way. You wanted your description written a certain way. You wanted your tags written a certain way. And there used to be this tool called vidIQ, and vidIQ would actually score you on 0 to 100 when you pay for some of the premium features. I think they also had this with TubeBuddy, where you could see how well you actually did in terms of optimizing your video for search results. And you really wanted to make sure you hit all of those criteria because YouTube's search feature was a lot more literal back then. And that had its perks because at least back then I felt like you could find the video that you were trying to look for and very similar videos a lot better than you can today. Like YouTube search today is kind of terrible, and the only way that you can really find videos is by going to people's channel that like you have to know the channel, or you have to search it up like verbatim, like the title verbatim. Or you have to search the title of the video with the channel to try to find it. It's just the search feature is terrible. So explore is everything. The home page is everything. The recommended videos is everything. And people being subscribed to your channel is everything. So nowadays, titles and descriptions, obviously keywords in them still matter. I'm not here to tell you that they don't. But the most important thing is tags. Tags is the utmost important thing in modern YouTube, because tags have always been, by the way, more so than titles and descriptions. Titles and descriptions counted for search. Tags were how recommended videos were recommended. So if you go underneath a video and you see the related videos tab, right? They are categorized and they are put there based on primarily the tags on your video. And that's also how they're rolled out to the homepage. And if you guys want to see proof of that, you can see on the related videos and on the homepage, you can click different tabs. So like say you're a Dragon Ball person, right? It'll have the For You stuff on the homepage, and then there'll be a tab for Dragon Ball. There'll be a tab for music. There'll be you know what I mean? And all of that information comes from the tags first. The tags first. So tags are the most important thing. Now, what this allows you to do is exactly what I wanted back then that you could not do, which is the most important thing in selling your videos to people is the title and the thumbnail now. Obviously, thumbnails were always important, but it's one of those things where your title was almost more important, because unless your video got seen, it didn't matter if you had a great thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like, you could have a great thumbnail, but unless it was properly titled, properly tagged, proper description, keywords, your video wasn't going to get pushed to people. So it didn't matter whether or not you had a provocative thumbnail or not. The great thing about this YouTube now is you can title your video something very literal or very specific or very provocative, and the thumbnail can stand out to grab people's attention, and that's enough as long as you tag it correctly. I actually think that YouTube is doing a great job with that, and I think that is primarily the reason that you guys are seeing an increase in smaller channels being able to grow on YouTube nowadays, because that was a very big problem early on in YouTube when I was starting, because the only way you were really gonna grow as a small YouTuber, like I said, you either had to hit on those algorithm points to get your video out there and hope that it was one of the ones that people just wanted to watch that badly, or you had to be in a very small niche. So, like when I joined YouTube, the reason that I was able to build 2 channels to 1,000 subscribers is because back then, the Dragon Ball community on YouTube was pretty much non-existent. And it came into existence in the year that I was one of the ones that was actually pushing Dragon Ball content. So, I managed to catch the very beginning of Dragon Ball's YouTube wave, like the first real push. Like, it's probably like second wave Dragon Ball YouTube, but it's the first real concentrated effort of, like, there are about 10, 15, 20 people that are really going hard in Dragon Ball on YouTube. Because before that, it was at most 5. At most 5. Nobody was really making Dragon Ball content. And especially not the kind that we were making, where we were covering the games and stuff like that. That just wasn't existent on Dragon Ball YouTube. It just wasn't. The only thing that you had, like I said, Storm Pal. You had some guys covering the what if or the questions of the series, like Quaman and Black and Fist. And then you had people like Miss DBZ Babe that were doing like their own original cartoons and Dragon Ball Z Abridged and stuff like that. It was non-existent what we were doing. So you had to do something like that. But how are you going to find a niche like that? You know what I mean? Especially in gaming, like you just weren't going to do it because it had to be something that was popular enough that enough people would want to watch it, and yet niche enough that not a lot of people were doing it. And that was just hard to find. It was just hard to find. You know what I mean? Luckily, Dragon Ball was just one of those things because it just hadn't been in the mainstream or like it didn't have new content until that time period. Like people that were watching Dragon Ball were watching the reruns on Toonami. You know what I mean? They were watching Dragon Ball Z Kai. There wasn't anything new to talk about there. You know what I mean? Besides, like I said, the questions that people would have that people like Black and Fist and Quaman and all of them would answer. So with a freedom of being able to write your descriptions and title it and get your thumbnail the way you want, I think that it has allowed a greater diversity and people to be more creative and to be able to do what they want with their video rather than trying to meet the algorithm standards. And I think that's helped. Another thing that I think has helped a lot is the fact that watch time and retention is important. Because while it was important back, especially when I was going hard on YouTube around like 2016, 2017, right? While it was important back then, it was nowhere near as pushed as it is now. So the great thing is I think YouTube's algorithm has found a very good balance because you can make a video. They want you to make videos that's about 10 minutes or more longer. You can make a video that's 10 minutes long. As long as you have 15 to 20% retention, YouTube algorithm is going to thumb up you. 10% is the recommended amount, but if you're 15 to 20, YouTube is going to give you a thumbs up for that. They're going to say, that's a really good video. A lot of people are interested in it. We need to push it, right? Now, I'll respond to that in a second. Gosh, that messed my brain up. Sorry, I got a text message in it. Made me lose my train of thought. Oh, yeah, okay. The place where I think it's really good is that also means that you can... The thing that it's pushing now is that if you have long form videos, they push it based on time watched rather than retention percentage. So what this means is you could have a person that might only watch 20 minutes of your video, but they might come back later for the other 30 minutes or the other 40 minutes if you have like a 50-minute to an hour-long video, right? And because they have a lot of minutes watched on it, YouTube will still give you a thumbs up for that in the algorithm and say, okay, people actually like this video. You know what I mean? And that was not the case. That was not the case 7, 8, 9 years ago, guys. I'm trying to tell you because I was here. That wasn't even the case in 2019, 2020. Like when I finally took a step back and stopped. That was not the case back then. They were still going very much off the old system, right? So they have tweaked that algorithm a good deal. And I think what forced them to do it, ironically enough, was shorts. Because with shorts, they had to completely change the algorithm around because people don't post TikToks and Instagram Reels to give you all the information in the title or the description. Like, the point is to get you hooked in, give you the information in a 10-second, 15-second video. But you gotta get in for like 5 to 6 to 7 seconds. You know what I mean? And because of that, they had to kind of separate. They had to give more freedom for the titles. They had to give a little more freedom for the descriptions not being as important. And they had to tweak how retention and watch time things will work, because we can't just you're not going to create like a totally separate algorithm for shorts, but also it's one where you can't push shorts more than you can't make it so that if you're not making shorts, you're not making anything on YouTube. And that would have been the way you would go if you heavily prioritize retention, because it's just on a 15-second clip, you watch 5 seconds, you watch 30% of it. You know what I mean? Like, and you just can't do that. But you also can't give it just to watch time, because the shorts aren't long enough to have a ton of watch time. You know what I mean? Like they're just not long enough. And they're gonna have a higher click through rate because they're shorts. People are gonna click in, click out, click in, click out. They may be scrolling through the shorts tab and just, you know what I'm saying? If you just swipe up, it counts as a click there. It's not the same thing for videos. There's a different type of time investment, even in a 5-minute video, that you're just going to give a little bit more thought to than you're going to give to a provocative 15-second short. So it made them have to change their algorithm. And I think it actually changed it for the better, because now I see channels being able to do the kind of content that they want to do. Like, there are people that are dedicated just to shorts and they're successful. I see people that are only doing long form content and they're way more successful than they were 10 years ago. Way more successful than they were even 5 years ago. They're doing great. I never saw this many documentary style videos getting hundreds of thousands of views like that, because YouTube just didn't like those kinds of videos 5 years ago, guys. They just didn't. The algorithm told us that they didn't like those kind of videos. And because of the algorithm tweak, that's why you see things like long plays and let's plays coming back. You see people sitting down playing a game for 10 hours, uploading the whole stream. Or the whole video straight, 10 hours straight. And it's because the tweak in the algorithm prioritizes everything together enough. It's a lot more advanced, actually, to the point where YouTube no longer deems that as a bad video just because they're trying to emphasize one thing over the other. And you may be saying, well, how do I know that they were doing that? Because if you were a YouTuber back then, ask any of your favorite YouTubers that have been around for a while. YouTube put out an update every 6 months for its creators that were basically outlining, like, every 6 months or so, you had people making videos like, this is the new, it was almost like a meta on YouTube. It's like, this is the new meta. This is how you do it. This is more important than ever. This is more important than ever. You have to make sure they're tweaking the system so that they're saying that they're prioritizing this over this. And you haven't seen that as much anymore. And you've seen a lot of their resources go into changing the UX design and the UI and implementing this new feature and this new feature and the communities tab, and make it, you see a lot more tools that they're giving to creators, because a lot of their time is no longer being spent on how do we make this a platform where everybody wants to create here, and everybody that is creating here is actually driving ads being placed here and enough people seeing it so that we have more people that are selling ads just by making videos. Because that's what YouTube wants. They want as many people having ads on their videos and selling those ads to as many people as they possibly can, because that's how they make their money. And those metrics of how many times was my ad seen, how many people did it actually get distributed to, what percentage of these views was this channel or that channel or this sector of content creators pulling in. Because if I'm a company and the gaming section is pulling in 10% of all of my clicks on my ads, I have to invest more money in making sure that my ads are on these people's videos. That's how an advertising agency is going to work. That's how a major corporations advertising branch is going to work. They're going to want to look at those metrics. And YouTube was just trying to get those metrics up. So for the latter part of the 2010s, all they did was try to make YouTube partner friendly for advertisers. That's why you couldn't say certain words. They were trying to get rid of the cursing. They were trying to make it more family friendly, all of this. And they were trying to figure out, how do we make an algorithm that pushes more? I want to push my big creators, but I also want to make it viable for small creators to be able to grow so that they have incentive to push our brand and push our sponsors. And they spent the latter part of the 2010s really trying to get into that. And the beginning part of the 2020s, I feel like TikTok kind of forced everybody to change their algorithms and adapt. And I think that out of everybody, ironically enough, because we spend a lot of time poo-pooing YouTube, I feel like YouTube got it the most right out of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like out of Instagram, out of Facebook, out of Twitter, out of all the major ones, I feel like YouTube actually got it right more so out of everybody. That's why it's like, people stream on Twitch, most certainly, but a lot of people still stream on YouTube. And it's just because the truth of the matter is, if you're talking about visibility, if you're talking about trying to get found, YouTube is the place to be. Twitch never really took off like that in terms of being able to find new creators. That has always been an issue with Twitch. That's why people tell you, if you want to do Twitch, you have to do something else. You have to cultivate something else in order to do it. And it was the same thing with YouTube 5-10 years ago. If you were going to be a YouTuber, you had to have another social media presence. You had to be on Instagram. You had to be on Twitter. You had to be on Facebook. You had to be on the anime amino apps. You had to be on Reddit. You had to promote your stuff somewhere else. You had to have another presence because you couldn't just rely on the YouTube algorithm. Now, what I will say is, you still should do that. That is still an effective strategy for growing. But the truth of the matter is, the great thing about new YouTube is you can just press upload. And if you're making good content, the people are going to follow you. If you're consistent and you're making high quality content, I have seen it, the people are going to follow you. Just look at my new videos, guys. My new videos, I came into this like, I don't even care about the views. I more so want to see how many people actually liked my video out of how many people watched it and how many people commented. And I was expecting, if I can average anywhere from like 10 to 20 viewers until I can get my stuff up, I'm doing good. I still consider my videos that have like 12 views a success, because that's what I'm aiming for, because I know those 12 are coming from people that are actually subscribed. So the good thing about it is, I'm seeing that the people that are actually subscribed to me are seeing my videos, and some of them are actually watching a good deal of them, and I appreciate that. So I'm cool with that. But I would be remiss if I didn't say I was a bit shocked, and I felt pretty good about the fact that some of these videos I could title the way that I wanted to, and I could write the description very matter-of-factly, and as long as I had good keywords in my tags, I'm seeing those videos actually get shared out and actually go to people, and people are finding them. And I'm shocked by the amount of people that are finding and actually watching these videos, because I just started back up, and it's like, I was not getting that many views. Like, the views that I averaged this last week of finally being back on YouTube, I promise that was probably my best average, like, viewed week probably since 2016, 17-ish, when my channel was doing very well and I was getting like 100 views a video. That's probably the last time that I saw my channel actually doing that well in terms of just getting my video out to people. And I was like, wow. Like, I knew the things, and I knew what my friends and what people were telling me about YouTube being better than ever. And I saw a lot of my friends growing more and more over the years. So I knew YouTube was doing something right. But being back in it myself, having conversations with other people and actually seeing the way that it works myself tangibly, I'm just very, I have to say, I'm not going to sit up here and heap all the praise on YouTube because I'm not saying that they do everything right. But if you've been around YouTube for a long time, you know what it was like when Google first bought it and how they were pushing so hard to make YouTube a profitable business that it kind of took the soul out of YouTube, right? It was kind of like the creators weren't prioritized, and it was all this stuff about trying to make it as ad friendly as possible. It kind of took the soul out of YouTube. YouTube stopped becoming fun because it was like you have to do certain things a certain kind of way, and the way you have to do them changes every couple of months. It just stopped being fun because it's like, I can't even, like, I have to make almost, if I want to grow on YouTube, it became like a point in time where it's like, if I want to grow on YouTube, I have to do a certain kind of video. But if I do a certain kind of video, it's going to be in a saturated market. But if I try to do a niche kind of video, then I have to make sure by myself that the people that are in this niche actually see my videos by promoting it in external spaces where they are, because the truth of the matter is they're just not going to get recommended to people that much on YouTube, because especially, and you guys know what I'm talking about, especially like right before and during the pandemic, a lot of your homepage was shit you didn't even want to watch. It's like, how is this on my homepage? And or they were recommending the same videos over and over again. I'm not saying that those kind of issues don't still happen, but they are a lot less frequent now than they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. And you guys know that. So I am cool with YouTube right now. I feel like the soul is coming back to YouTube. I feel like I see so many people talking about, if you want to be a YouTuber, do it now. I feel like I see I found so many small channels that are just niche, man, where it's like they're making videos where it's just like, bro, a couple years ago you wouldn't have seen this in my homepage, dog. So I'm glad I found you. It's awesome that YouTube recommended you, and some of these guys are putting out very high quality stuff. Very high quality stuff. So I am giving a thumbs up to the creators. I am giving a thumbs up to the platform, and I hope that we can continue this level of success, and that the past 10 years, 15 years has been a learning lesson for Google and YouTube, and that we do not mess this up, because YouTube is the biggest streaming platform in the entire world. And when the creators are happy and when the creators feel like the platform has soul, then this platform will thrive. And I love the YouTube platform despite any issues that I ever had with it as a creator, because it is a place where we all can make things that 20 years ago were just not possible. You could not make your own documentary by yourself with just some camera that you had in your house and have 1 million people see it. You could not make a radio show, which is like, podcast is basically like independent radio now. You could not make a radio show in your basement and have 1 million people to see it unless you were very lucky. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where YouTube has given us the freedom. The fact that James Rolfe made the Angry Video Game Nerd in 2007, 8. You know what I mean? Like, he produced his own TV show that is still running almost 20 years later. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's one of the most known and iconic channels and pieces of entertainment in gaming culture of the last 10, 15 years. And he was just a guy that was making these videos on his own. And that's just excellent that we have a place to be able to do that. That is what the internet was created to do, because YouTube has birthed an entire subsection of the entertainment industry, and now people are like actually being able to make this into a profession. And it was looking spooky for that 10 years ago. It really was. It was very much looking spooky. You had to get very lucky in order to be able to make money off YouTube. You just did. So the fact that nowadays they're doing the right thing, I love it. I like it. 30-minute yap session. Turn this on when you're playing 2K or when you're doing something in the background. Just listen to it. Tell me what you thought in the description, in the comment section. And yeah, peace.